involved with our kind of expedition. And I'm not just talking about the storms. First thing we did was we looked at the tsunamis. There is a, you never know when they're coming. But the world has been quiet for a long time, and we're very worried that tsunamis could happen, especially in the Pacific Ring. So we were linked to the center of tsunami in the island of Hawaii, the tsunami center, the warning center. And it was so funny because when we were in Chile, in even Tahiti, in some places, and we would know via satellite that a earthquake was happening in Japan or somewhere else, and there was a tsunami warning, we would come out of the harbor and go to the ocean. And people thought we were crazy. No, why are you going to do that? There's no tsunami ever coming. Well, we all know. We have all seen the images. They do arrive and they do come. And this is, people say, oh, but that's exaggeration. I said, there's no exaggeration if you know what you're doing and if you know what the risks are. So this helped us a lot, and we really took this seriously. The other thing is developing tools to utilize. For us was the internet. We, on the first expedition, when we went around the world, GPS did not exist. So we used to sail by the stars and by the sun. Now, can you imagine on a cloudy day what that would be like? They have a really nice name for it. It's called, sailing with the estimates. It's sailing, there's all these fancy names, but it really is guess sailing. You guess where you are because you're factoring in current, downfall, and you say, oh, we are more or less around here. That's how we used to be. And we were very comfortable with that, obviously. Sometimes it was, hair-raising. When GPS came on board, we said, wow, this is amazing. We know where we are all the time. Unbelievable. And so much so with other tools. Our expedition was one of the first ones to have internet on board a sailboat. I had to go to Norway. The only company that was building antennas big enough to put on our boats was in Norway, in Oslo. I had to spend 1 week there to learn everything about, satellite transmission, and we were taking a prototype. It was the first one ever to be taken on board a boat. So we put it on board, and it was magic for us, really, because we had all kinds of information that we could make decisions with. So much so, this is the cabin, used to be the cabin on board the boat. Notebooks weren't what they are today, and we used to have a cabin just for the communication part. And we used to know what was going to happen, and we used to know where we were. We were able to tell people where we were all the time. And most importantly, another thing that helped us was being linked to the piracy center in Malaysia. And when we talked about piracy at those times, people used to laugh. They say, yeah, Jack Sparrow, right? Big pirates coming, attacking. I said, no, pirates are something serious. And people did not take that seriously. But the thing is, in the South China Seas, there used to be more than 370 pirate attacks a year. And so why were we linked? Because we wanted to know exactly where each piracy attack was happening so that we could make a detour and try and escape from being attacked by pirates. And obviously now piracy unfortunately grew in the world, and today in Somalia we have a very, very big problem, in the Gulf Strait with piracy, and everybody has seen on the news and so forth, and there's a big movie coming out now about piracy. And when we started talking about this and we had the technology, people used to laugh and say, yeah, does he have the flag, the Jolly Roger up? I said, no, it's serious, serious business. So we make sure that when we plan and we have the tools and we have the technology, that we use it. We implement it to know what, and it can save our lives. The other thing we do is we always get our strategy and we push the bar a bit higher. On our case for television, I came back from New Zealand and I said, we should do a broadcast for a Brazilian TV show. And we looked at the ones that had the biggest ratings that we could be part of, and it was called Fantástico in Globo TV. And this was a huge program, talking about millions of people tuning in. And I said, okay, we could go and talk to these guys, but let's push the bar a bit further. Why don't we film everything in film, physical? Whoever has white hair will remember what film is like. It's one of those physical things that you put on the camera and they go around. Movie cameras. And we went over and talked to people from Fantástico and they said, are you crazy? We should use digital. Digital at that time wasn't what it is today. I said, no, the best quality is film. Let's push for that. But they said, you're going to have to open a logistical nightmare. You're going to have to send it to a lab every month, and from there you're going to have to send it to us, wherever the lab is. I said, okay, no problem. Logistics is not a problem. Let's try to do this. And they said, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it this way? And I said, because it's the highest quality, because we're going to push the bar up, because we want results. And it was amazing because what we got is we used to raise the ratings by 8 to 12 points of the program. That meant that up to 40 million people were watching us on TV in Brazil. And, you know, a lot of the directors on this show used to call me up and goes, David, wow, this is amazing. You guys you come on the air. The minute you come in, you go up and you push us to record highs. Why do you think that is? I said, well, because it's an interesting story and because your images are not as close as good as ours, obviously. They did not like me very much from the beginning when I used to say that. But after the ratings went up, the revenues were up, everybody was happy. And it was for the first time in Rede Globo's history that a crew outside of the television was providing them with material for such a long period of time. We really pushed it for that. We said, no, we'll send our crew. I said, no, we'll have a crew on board and we'll do that. So we really made the strategy and we pushed it a level further. And that's what we always do with our expeditions. We try to, you know, overcome, not just do what's normal and what people are used to. But the thing with planning and implementation is adaptation. There is no plan in the world that will work on paper and on real life. You have it on paper, it looks beautiful and wonderful, and everybody knows what it's like. But to put it on the real world, then comes the real magic of adaptation. How do you adapt it? How do you make it work? Because the world changes. One day the economy is going one way. One day people are buying steel. The next day there's a crisis. People are buying less steel. What do we do? How do we change? How do we adapt the plan? For us, I'll give you an example that really we had to find our wits and we find our way. We started the expedition. The first 6 months were wonderful. You know, we closed a deal with the studio in Hollywood to process our films. So all the films, wherever we were in the world, were sent to Hollywood because they were the best laboratories in the world. And Los Angeles is the gateway to the Pacific. So we said, okay, we'll close the deal with them. From there, the films were transcoded to video and sent to the TV station. Crazy logistics. For you to have an idea, okay, this is the office on a good day. Okay, down here on the right, that's a good day. Here you see in this column, these are all the cans of films. That's how much material we used to film every month. So we used to ship those cans from different parts of the world. First 6 months, everything worked fine. You know, films arrive in Los Angeles, are processed less than 24 hours. The tapes go back to Brazil. The ratings are going up. Whew, yes, everything is going. Then we arrive in Mangareva. Mangareva was the first island of the French Polynesia, you know, when you come from east to west. And we hit Mangareva. We had filmed in Pitcairn Island. Some of you might know about the bounty, the mutiny. It's a big story. We had gone to Henderson Island, an island that nobody lives. Very seldom people stop in Henderson Island. When we arrived in Mangareva, I said, okay, we have to ship the material. Our contract with Global TV was once a month, our material had to be on the television for broadcast. I mean, it didn't matter what happened. And if it wasn't there, we had huge fines. No problem. We had the plan. We had the logistics all sorted out. So much so that we arrived in Mangareva. It was Tuesday. I said, okay, guys, let's get all the material ready. I picked up 3 boxes and walked out to the island and into the airport. Mangareva, 2,000 people, okay? Small island. I arrived in the airport, and, well, airport is a way of saying it, but it's a strip, you know, a landing strip, and a little hut. That's the airport in Mangareva. And lots of little, you know, balconies, lots of little places where you could see that airlines were there and stuff like that. So I come out, I looked at the airport, and there's absolutely no one there. And Mangareva is about 1,200 miles from Tahiti. So I'm a bit worried, obviously. I go, keep walking, and right on the end of the airport, I find a big Polynesian guy laying down and sleeping, snoring. And I come up to him and go, Yorana. Yorana means hello in Tahitian. And he goes, Yorana. And I said, hi, Hachihuru, how are you? And he goes, oh, my Taru, and starts speaking more. And I said, no, my Tahitian is hello, how are you? That's enough. So I started in French. I said, à quelle heure va arriver l'avion? And he looks at me, avion? And I'm like, this guy had a really good party last night, right? He's sleeping off. He's, you know, probably drank a lot because he's sleeping on the airport and he doesn't know about the plane. So I kept pushing him a little more, going, yeah, what time the airplane? There's an airplane arriving 2 hours. And he goes, no. Airplane? And he starts laughing at me. And I start getting a little bit irritated, going, okay, look, I'm fun, but, you know, I'm serious about this business. And I looked at him and said, look, what's going on? Where is the airplane? When is he arriving? And he goes, oh, let me tell you what happened. And I said, look, I know everything. because I have a plan. You know, I spent 3 years building this plan. And I know there's a plane twice a week and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, let me tell you what happened. Mangareva, the next door island, it's called Mururoa. Mururoa is where the French used to do, nuclear tests on the water and under the earth. And about 3 months ago, the French government signed a treaty that Mururoa is no longer going to be used for underwater tests of nuclear weapons. I said, wow, that's wonderful, for the world. Right to go, but what does that have to do anything with my films and my, airplane? He goes, oh, the thing is, in Mururoa, there was quite a big military, base, and all the families of the military people used to live here in Mangareva. And the families used to go and come back to Tahiti, and so flights were back and forth. With the signing of the treaty, all the military went away from Mururoa. There's a very small, Navy base now, and all the families went away from Mangareva. Everybody went away from Mururoa. There's nobody else on the island. There's only the locals. So all planes were canceled from Mangareva. There's no more flights to Mangareva. I said, what? I said, no, it's finished. Airplane. Started laughing at me again. So I go back to the boat, and obviously I have, adrenaline is pumping because it's Tuesday, and I have to have the material by Sunday. Fantástico is a Sunday night program, and I'm in the middle of the Pacific. So I come back to the boat. Obviously, the telephone via satellite rings. I answer the phone, and it's Carlos Schroeder. Today, actually, at this moment, he is the president, the big honcho of global enterprises in Brazil. At the time, he was the director of journalism. He calls me up and goes, David, we have a saying here, o que é Sherman é certo, what Sherman is right. You guys are doing everything right, everything is happening, it's unbelievable. And I've just told Galvão, who's the sport announcer, very famous sport announcer in Brazil, to announce right now, there's a final of the Brazilian Cup, that Sherman family will be on the program on Sunday. And I told him, yeah, go ahead, because they have never failed us. Everything's working so awesomely. Do it. I'm just calling to make sure that the material, I called up the people, and nobody said that you haven't delivered the material yet. Is everything okay? I said, everything is fine. Everything is great. The material will be on its way soon. He goes, what? I said, no, don't worry. Don't worry. We'll find a way. So I hang up the phone. Obviously, I almost collapse. My legs are going like this, and my father looks at me and goes, what's wrong? And I said, this. And he goes, okay, how are we going to fix this? I said, there's no way. There's no way we can sail to Tahiti fast enough. We don't have the budget to hire an airplane to come here. There's just no solution. And he said, look, if we sit here on the boat right now and wait, there's definitely no solution. So let's go on land and try to find one. And I went laughing, obviously. I went, okay, sure, Captain, let's go. So we landed, and each one went its own way. 20 minutes later, he calls me up on the radio and says, David, meet me up on the south side of the island. So I meet him up. I find him standing on one of those houses on stilts on the water, next to a guy with a long white beard, with long white hair, with the clothes all kind of dirty and in pieces. And he's standing there, and my father's next to him smiling. And I said, well, I think the witch doctor gave some crazy stuff to my father. He's got the solution. I said, well, maybe he's going to, telepathy. He's going to send the film somehow magically. So I arrive laughing at him, and he goes, no, you're judging already. Relax. This guy here is the guardian of the black pearls. I said, whoa, that was a powerful concoction he gave you. Guardian of the black pearls. No. This guy looks after the black pearl farm. Underwater, right here, it's a huge black pearl farm, and he's kind of like the security guard, and nothing happens, of course. There's no one in the island. So what happened is, I'm here chatting with this guy, and he just told me that the owner of the black pearl farm has his own plane, and is coming from Tahiti today, this afternoon, to get the black pearls. He does this once a month, and take it back to Tahiti to sell it to the world. And I said, whoa, solution, great. This is amazing. Wow, this is also, everything is resolved. And he goes, no. How are we going to convince this guy that he's got to take 3 boxes on his plane without looking what's inside? Because films, remember, negative, you cannot open up and see what's inside. You cannot put it through an x-ray. He's got to believe on our word. And now imagine the guy, when he lands his plane, there we are, with 3 boxes, and goes, can you please take these boxes to Tahiti? The guy goes, what? No, please. Oh, okay, so can you open it? No. What do you mean, no? No, no, you got to take the boxes without opening. Where are you from? South America. Was you crazy? You are crazy. What do you think? You think I'm that silly? I said, no, let me explain. And it was very important on our planning that we had letters from the Brazilian government, the French government, Kodak, and everybody saying who we were and what it was. So after half an hour convincing the guy goes, okay, to Tahiti, I'll take the films. So we have another theory in our boat, and another practice that we do is every problem or challenge is not, there's no solution until it finds the end, until you meet right to the end. And that's so true on this story because the film went to Tahiti, it went into the Federal Express, courier, and from inside the boat, I'm tracking. Oh, the boat, okay, landed in, Memphis and then connected somewhere else. I mean, they do all these crazy connections and finally goes to LA. I call the lab. Guys, please process this. It's Thursday. I need this material out by Friday, blah, blah, blah. The material goes out on Friday. It's flying to Brazil, and I look in the last report. It arrived in Rio de Janeiro. 2 boxes. Wait a minute. It's meant to be 3. Where's the 3rd box? So I call up via satellite from the middle of the ocean, the company. And I said, hi, guys. Yes, Mr. Sherman, what's your account? And they go, oh, Mr. Sherman, can I help you? Yeah, look, we have a problem. One of my packages disappeared. And she goes, oh, are you in your Florianopolis office? Are you in your São Paulo office or in your US office? I said, I am in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on my boat. And she goes, oh, are you looking at your the screen, the saving screen on your computer with the beautiful water? We all would love to be in the South Pacific, right? I said, no, 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 it's true. I am on the middle of the ocean in the South Pacific. And she goes, oh, and she looks into her account. There was noted that this was an expedition. And she goes, how can I help you? I said, you lost the box. And she goes, you in the middle of the ocean can see our problem here? I said, yes, I can see it. It's right here on my screen. And she goes, can you hold the line? $8 a minute for the satellite communication. I'm sorry, I can't. But I'll call you in half an hour. Half an hour later, called up. The manager had taken over and said, look, we found the box. It fell on one of the conveyor belts in Memphis, but it's on its way to Brazil. Make a long story short, the last box arrived on Sunday morning in Brazil. On Sunday afternoon, they edited the material, and on Sunday night, it was broadcasted as promised. And most people look at this story and go, oh, you're lucky. That was just pure luck. And I said, yes. But you know something about luck? Luck, you have to plant. You have to seed luck. Because if you sit down on the boat and try to find luck, it won't come. You have to open the opportunity for luck and for solutions to happen. And for us, that was very emblematic. So now whenever we have a problem that it seems impossible, we always trying to find the luck to help us out. But we always seed it. We always find where the luck is going to come from. Another thing that is very important for us when we are putting our plan into implementing and execution is the crew. I mean, I can't talk about this enough. We are, most of the people in this room, like us, we are leaders, we have people working for us, we have a lot of responsibility, but without the crew, on our case, we can't do half of it. There are people that sail around the world alone, and that's great, a great feat, but that's not what we do. We share our experiences with the world, so we need a crew, and we need a crew to sail the boat. And there are a few things that we look for on the crew to make our plans work. And there are, probably 100, but these are the ones that we think are the most important in our case, and it works for us. First thing is dedication. And I'm not talking about dedication on a timeline. I'm talking about pure dedication. Guys over there, he spends, 4 hours sailing on a storm, -5. It's hell. It's like in the beginning of the video. It's hell. You are out there and waves are coming at you and you're going, what am I doing here? You do ask yourself those questions. And all of a sudden, after 4 hours, your time's up, you go downstairs, you take your clothes off, and you go to bed. You put, warm clothes, take your wet clothes off, put your warm clothes, and you go to bed. Not that the bed is not moving. The bed's going, it's really rocking. But you go to sleep. And then a crazy person gets up, normally the film director, gets up and looks outside at the storm and the sun is starting to come up and goes, we should film this. We should really do something about this. Let's get the whole crew out here and film it. And what we're looking for is people that don't go look at us and go, are you crazy? I've already worked my 4 hours in hell. I'm not going to go back out there. We're looking for people that are actually going, all right, what do we need? Let's do this, And this is the kind of dedication we look. The other thing is enthusiasm and transparency. And, we talk about enthusiasm, and it's just not like the, hey, let's go, people, but on the day-to-day basis, and how we help each other, crew members, leaders, because a lot of people see the leaders as the almighty God, and they have to always be well. But that doesn't happen. We all know that. There might be the days that we're not well. And that's when you need the closest crew members to push you up, push you back up. And this happens a lot with us on an expedition when we are all the time together. So enthusiasm is not just your own enthusiasm, but enthusiasm on your crew that can help you when you need to reboot your own enthusiasm. And the other thing is trust and experience. And this is a story that I like to tell because I would not be here today talking to you if the crew member that I had to trust was not there and did not, make me think. We went into the Patagonia, to the Chilean, fjords, and we went to a glacier called Pt-02. It's beautiful. It's very tall, very wide. And as we sailed in, it was a wonderful sunny day. Sometimes it's hard on the extreme parts of the world to have beautiful sunny days. We arrived here, amazing. Big icebergs coming out of, the glaciers and building big pieces of ice. And I looked at our crew member. He used to be my camera assistant, and Luciano. And I said, Luciano, look at that huge iceberg. We should go all the way up and film it from up there, the boat crossing this, field of ice. I mean, imagine people watching this at home. And Luciano is normally as enthusiastic as I am, but he looked at me and goes, I don't think it's a good idea. And obviously, when a camera assistant says it's not a good idea, you look at him and goes, I'm sorry, what did you say? This is a brilliant idea. This is an amazing idea. We're going to win awards with this image. And Luciano said, look, this is something that I have experience with. I've been to Antarctica twice, and I know icebergs are something, sometimes very volatile. They can break apart and they can break pieces and stuff, and it's not that safe, especially on a sunny day. And I started pushing him. I said, no, come on, Luciano. You're being a chicken. You're being afraid. Have some gusto, have some courage. And I kept pushing him. And it got to the point where I became very arrogant. I came to the point where I said, Luciano, look, I am not asking anymore. I'm telling you, please get the things ready because we're going to go up. So he turns around and gives a very simple phrase. He goes, okay, but it's your 100% responsibility. And if you trust me and trust my experience, we won't go up. When he said that, it really clicked. I stopped. I looked around and I said, wait a minute. Why am I not listening to this guy? This guy has been down here, has seen this ice, has seen all this. This is totally new for me. Maybe I should listen to him. So I stopped, thought about it a little bit, and I said, okay, Luciano, guess what? You win. We're not going to go up. Because now your fear transferred to me. I said, no, we're not going to go up. But guess what? In maybe, 1 or 2 days when it's cloudy and ugly, we'll go up again. We'll try to go up. And he goes, yeah, that's be better. Maybe it'll be safer because of the sun and so forth. But the next 3-4 ports, you're going to buy beer for the whole crew because you are cutting our creativity and our moment and so forth. And we started laughing, and we left it at that. We kept sailing very slow because the ice is very compact. About 40 minutes later, when we were about 500 to kilometer away from this iceberg, we all heard this sound. And it really sounds like dynamite exploding, especially in this peaceful, silent place. I mean, it really goes a long way. And it's a very dry sound. And we all turned around to look, and what was happening? The iceberg had cracked in 2 pieces and was falling apart in 2 pieces. And the pieces that were underwater, the parts that are underwater coming out. And it looks like a huge, giant washing machine. I mean, it's a spectacle. It's very beautiful to watch. Very scary, but very beautiful. And I looked and I calculated it would be the time that it took to be right on the top and be filming. So, and in the boat, it became a situation kind of like the Western, when each person's on the end and they're looking at each other and the whole town is looking at what's going to happen. Because that's what happened. I turned around and looked at Luciano. He looked at me, the whole crew. Everybody held its breath. Luciano didn't say a word. He looked, he smiled. I said, he goes, guess what? You're going to buy the beer now, okay? I said, yes. Don't worry about it. Next 3 ports, I'm buying every beer for you. Every Christmas, I sent him a huge present, really. And for us, it was a very strong moment of learning of how to trust, people that sometimes have the local knowledge or the experience, right, that are telling you things that you might not think it's a great idea, but it might save you in the end. And for us, that's very important. The other thing, I'll just touch base very quickly here, is about conflicts. How do we handle conflict? How did anybody fall off the boat? The secret is, we have a system which we call Breakfast with Captain. Breakfast with Captain, it happens in our company now once every 2 weeks or so forth. It happened on the boat every day, and it's where everybody sits around the table and talks about, first, little things that are happening, and then we talk about problems and challenges. What is going on? And it's very hard to do this because people normally are trying to defend themselves. They don't want to, talk about another person or what they're going on. But this is essential because when you do put the things on the table, then you are able to dismantle the bomb that may be created. In our case, if a guy wakes up, angry, and we see he's angry, and he sits down and he's angry, we all badger him to, what's going on? Please open yourself up. Tell us what's on. And the guy goes, oh, this guy, David, he shouted at me yesterday when we were doing this maneuvering. And I said, oh, okay, I shouted at you because you wouldn't hear me. You were all the way in front of the boat. That's why I shouted. And turns around and goes, that's it? That's the only reason why you shouted? I said, that's it. I thought you were upset with me. No, there's nothing there. And why is that important? Because it's little things. Those